Everyone loves a good love story, but how about a crazy one? It happened more than 20 years ago, but it still makes me smile. My name is Elvira Bary, and I am an author. When I was 25, I looked like this. At the time, I lived in a city so full of military factories, it wasn't even listed on Soviet maps. The city was called Gorky, which means bitter. Later, they renamed it Nizhny Novgorod, which translates to Lower New City. But the vibe stayed the same. I thought of myself as smart and beautiful, fresh out of law school, but there was no one around to fall in love with. It was the wild 1990s, right after the USSR collapsed. Russia felt like one giant flea market in a third world country. Everyone was hustling, trying to sell random junk, but the only people making real money were mobsters and corrupt bosses. My choices of eligible bachelors did not look particularly inspiring. Burly new Russians in burgundy club jackets and gold chains around their necks. Skinny nerds borrowing tram money from their moms. And factory workers who, let's just say, weren't always sober. I wanted romance, smart conversations, and glamour. My introduction to glamour came through glossy magazines, which had just started showing up on newsstands. Somewhere far away, in the untouchable dreamland of Moscow, there were gorgeous women, fancy cars, and perfumes that cost more than my monthly salary. Speaking of which, any guesses on how much a young Russian lawyer earned back then? Drop your guesses in the comments. The crown jewel of magazines was Men's Health. In the US, it's a fitness and lifestyle guide for young men, but the Moscow edition was on a whole different level. A brilliant mix of ideas, education, and entertainment. It was vibrant, witty, and incredibly inspiring. The highlight, though, was the editor-in-chief's letters. Ilya Bezugly seems like a stunningly handsome genius. But it wasn't just his looks. As the heart and soul of the magazine, he embodied everything it stood for, living proof that real-life princes existed. Naturally, I fell head over heels. Some friends of mine organized events, and one day they delivered earth-shattering news. The Men's Health editorial team was coming to our city on a tour. They'd hired my friends to throw a party for the fancy Moscow guests, and I begged to be put on the guest list. The party was happening at a nightclub called Rocco, and I prepared like Cinderella going to the ball. My mind was a whirlwind. What if Ilya doesn't show up? What if he does? What if I get the courage to talk to him? What if I don't and miss my only chance at true love? I entered the club, my heart in my throat. The scene was chaos. A singer jumping around on stage, people dancing, and my event-planning friends frantically searching for a lost microphone. Then I spotted Ilya. He was sitting at a table with his friends, smoking. Smoking! My brain short-circuited. He was the editor of a health magazine. Guys kept asking me to dance, but I couldn't take my eyes off Ilya and his group. Soon, some heavily made-up women joined them, clearly looking to make a quick buck. And not long after, the esteemed Moscow guests left with their new companions. My heart shattered. There were no real princes. It was all a lie. Health, principles, everything. I eventually found my prince, but not where I expected. I moved to California, but my English was shaky, so I spent way too much time online. One day, I stumbled across a writer who instantly captivated me with her stories. Her name was Tata Lenik. We became friends and started messaging. It turned out she had worked for Men's Health, and I told her about my love for Ilya and how his editor's letters had stolen my heart. Well, she said, I actually wrote those. and half the magazine too. Elvira was just a manager. So technically, you fell in love with me. I still adore Tata and her work. She became my writing mentor, and I studied her texts, breaking them down to see how she crafted such brilliant stories. Tata doesn't work in glossy magazines anymore. When the war in Ukraine began, all foreign publications in Moscow shut down, and she, like countless other writers and journalists, had to leave Russia. One day, I hope to translate Tata's stories into English. My dream is to grow this YouTube channel, build an English-speaking audience, and eventually share her incredible talent with the world. Subscribe!